All right, guys, what's happening? What's happening? It is Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. This morning, we're going to be talking about how to develop great salespeople. You know, there's a lot that goes into developing great salespeople. And you know, when you break that all down, there's a couple very important criteria that you have to meet. Number one, as a leader or as the person that is trying to develop these people. And we're going to break that down step by step with exactly what salespeople expect and what behaviors you have to exhibit in order to be successful at developing great salespeople. Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, guys, what's happening? Good morning to you. We're going to continue this morning on our journey talking about sales this week. It's an exciting week for me. I get to share a lot of the things that I've learned over the last 20-something years being in sales, and the feedback has been great. I got a lot of messages yesterday about yesterday's episode, so I appreciate all of you that shared that or tagged people or sent it to people or shared the podcast, on one of those platforms. So I really appreciate the support, and hopefully these messages will reach some people and we can actually make a difference, not just in people's lives, but in people's companies this week by kind of reprogramming some people's thoughts on sales. So with that said, we're going to jump in this morning to how to develop great salespeople. And I think, this is one of those things that lots of people do, right? Lots of people are developing salespeople, but do they actually do it right? And are they able to develop those salespeople into the greatest potential that they have? And I think that's the real challenge for people, is that a lot of times, I think that people look at those that they are training or coaching as salespeople, or maybe they bring people into their organization that maybe are not necessarily the definition of salespeople. And that doesn't mean that those people will not be successful. I've coached lots of people who are mechanics in different industries and all kinds of different backgrounds, and they came into sales and they were very successful. And so I'm going to outline some of the things that I think are important characteristics when you're choosing salespeople or when you're evaluating salespeople. And then I'm going to give you some of the things that I think salespeople look for in those that are trying to lead and coach them in order for you to have the best chance of being successful coaching and training and developing salespeople. So with that said, let's jump right in. But first, I want to say good morning to some folks. Dan Hill, good morning to you. Tammy Clark, good morning. Gary, good morning. Steve, Ed, Daniel, good. What's happening, man? John Rugg and Bob and Cynthia, good morning, guys. Thank you guys for being here. So, all right. So the number one thing that I think we have to focus on. Good morning, Curtis. What's happening, man? The number one thing we have to focus on when we're talking about developing great salespeople is, first and foremost, we have to have the right people, right? And that doesn't mean, by the way, when I say the right people in a sales position, many people probably think that you have to have some sort of experience in sales to be able to be successful. It's absolutely not true. In fact, sometimes, depending on your scenario, those people that don't have experience can sometimes be a really great thing to add to your team. But here are some of the things that I believe are required for somebody to be great in sales. Number one is they have to be competitive, right? They have to be a competitive person in order to be successful in sales. It's just how it works, guys. There is nothing more important than having a competitive spirit if you're going to work in sales, because here's the reality, guys. Sales is difficult, right? It's a massive amount of rejection. So if you don't have that competitive spirit, if you're not competitive against those other people or against, your former results, you're going to have a really hard time becoming great in sales. So for you as a coach or as a leader or as somebody that's looking to develop great salespeople, that's one of those traits that is required for people to have in order to have the chance to be great. They have to be competitive. So we find a lot that, athletes or people that played sports are easy targets to bring into sales and make them successful. If you really think about it, it's an easy transition because it's, generally speaking, playing on a team. It's a competitive environment. If nothing else, you're competitive against yourself or your previous results. So being competitive is number one. I think it's really, really important for us to realize that being competitive is an absolute requirement for somebody to be great in sales. The second thing that I would say is they have to be hardworking. If they don't have work ethic, it's going to be really difficult for them to be great. Now, we're talking about great. We're not talking about average or a good performer. We're talking about great salespeople, like the top 1%, right? And when we talk about great salespeople, that work ethic, that consistent delivery of effort and results is always there, right? It is never missing from those people that come to mind when we say great salespeople. That hardworking, gritty work ethic is always present in those people that have the potential to or are already great. So, and last but not least, and this is an important one, I think it's, one that far too often is missed in the world of sales, is they have to have a servant heart. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if they don't have a servant heart, their ability to rise through the ranks is going to be there, but their ability to stay at the top will not be there because it's not done for the right reasons. So if they don't have a servant heart, their ability to become great and stay there is going to be significantly less. So that number one, that category I just titled choose the right people, right? So if you don't have the right people that you're trying to create greatness in, you are going to be challenged to be able to be successful at developing great salespeople. The second category here, and there's a couple bullet points within this one, is set the right example. So if you're trying to develop great salespeople, as a leader, you have to set the right example, right? You have to be able to walk the talk. And so if they don't believe that their leader can sell, like if they don't believe the person that's coaching them can actually sell, man, you're toast. And I have worked alongside many of these people that talk the talk quite a bit. They're in leadership positions. They probably haven't sold something in a long time, but they are, they call themselves sales coaches. And or sales leaders within a company. And I want you guys to remember this. Like if there's even a 10% chance that they don't believe that you can do it, they're not going to take your advice and they will not become great salespeople. And I've seen many people with the potential to be great in sales never become great because of who they actually are being mentored by, who their leader is. They actually play down to what they think their leader is capable of. The second thing that you have to be as a coach is you have to be disciplined, right? You have to be putting in the work. You have to show people what you are capable of from a discipline standpoint. And that is really, really important for people to realize that you are disciplined to doing the things that you are coaching them to do. And if you are not disciplined and you are not setting the right example as the person who's trying to develop them, then they are only going to play up to your capability. So being disciplined as the person that's trying to develop great salespeople is one of the most important things that you can be. Set the right example. Be disciplined, right? The next bullet point is be productive. If you are a person that talks but doesn't act, isn't actually productive, I want you to think about what that looks like to those people who are looking up to you. If you are not productive, if you're just coming into work every day, going through the motions, you're not actually getting results, and you just talk. If you think that people don't realize, they 100% realize what you're doing. You have to be disciplined. You have to be productive. And if you are, that leads me to my last bullet point here in setting the right example. You have to get results. Nobody cares without them. If your team, if you are a sales leader and you're trying to develop great salespeople, you're trying to develop salespeople in general, and you have never shown them your ability to get results, you will never, ever, ever get through to those people, because being disciplined, being productive shows that you are able to get results. If they don't believe, for example, that you could pick up the phone and call somebody and get somebody on the phone and set an appointment, how are you going to develop them? Ask yourself that question, man. I have worked for lots of people in my career that I had zero confidence that they could do this. I had zero confidence that they could ever get results. So ask yourself this question: how much advice are you going to take from someone you don't believe can do what it is that they're telling you to do? Think about this, guys. How fast is the world of sales evolving now? With sales, with marketing, with digital, with all these different things. If whoever it is that is coaching you is unable to keep up with the trends that are going on in the industry, if all they're teaching you is these old school sales tactics that wouldn't get results today, or wouldn't get the results that you think are possible, then why would you listen to them? And this is something that happens quite a bit in the world of sales coaching, sales training, is that it's easy to teach the basics, right? There's a sales process. Lots of people can train that. And that's an important foundational piece. But if you don't believe that the person you're taking advice from has the ability to go out there and close deals today, and do so with frequency, and do so on demand, then I would suggest you take advice from somebody else. That's just my opinion. And I don't think, as a leader or as a coach, if you have that ability, if you're not constantly developing yourself, if you're not constantly reading and listening and researching the latest things so that you could take what you're learning and pour it into others, then I don't believe that you will have the ability to develop great salespeople. And if anybody is listening here that is a sales leader, those people deserve the very best from you. So take the time to do what I'm talking about. Take the time to read, research, connect with other people who are successful in sales, because your people deserve it. Last but not least, training isn't something you did, it's something you do. When you talk about training, think about systems, sales process, marketing and sales alignment. When you think about these things, what does it take for you to pour into your people? Well, it takes for you to understand these things. It takes for you to be an expert in these areas so that you can transfer that information to your people. If they don't believe that you are a master of systems, that you are a master of the sales process, that you can do it like breathing in and breathing out, you're not going to be able to create great salespeople because they won't trust you. You have to constantly be pouring into those people, constantly come up with new ideas that make it easier for them to be successful. You absolutely have to understand this stuff at a level that nobody else does. When you talk about how marketing and sales, the alignment of those two things, and how important it is in today's world, look at the best salespeople in any industry right now and tell me if they are not great marketers. They are great marketers, and they become great salespeople as a result. And if you don't pour into your people, they will not stick around long, because there's lots of companies out there now that are committed to training, that are committed to constantly pouring into their people, constantly making their lives better and sharing the knowledge that's necessary to make them successful in what they do. Training isn't something you did, it's something you do. That's a quote from Brad Lea from Lightspeed Virtual Training, but it is so true. I use it all the time because it is so true. You know, when you go to a company, you start as a salesperson, and what's the first thing they do to you? Many of the companies I worked for handed me a computer, handed me a phone, handed me a legal pad, and said, good luck. What does it look like? Is there shadowing of people who are already successful? Are there regular calls where you have the opportunity to ask questions? Are there leaders regularly putting out content or emails or tips or having conversations that allow people to grow? Training is something that is ongoing. If you're not daily pouring into your people, and this isn't just in sales, this is anywhere, but sales is an easy place to notice it because the results are very clear. The greatest thing about being in sales is that the scoreboard never lies. The results can't be taken away. And over a period of time, you will see just how great a salesperson is based on their consistency in results. It's not about having a great year. It's not about having a great quarter. It's about having a great career that is consistent, that you deliver exactly what you say you're going to deliver. And as you do that over a long period of time, you'll have up months, down months, things that don't go your way. But over a period of time, you are able, as a great salesperson, to last the test of time, to put those numbers up on the scoreboard that people actually respect. And that comes from all of these things being in place, right? When you look at it from a leadership standpoint, choosing the right people to put in those positions is the most important thing that you can do, right? When you got the right people in the right seats on the bus, you have the ability to win championships. If you set the right example as a leader and you've chosen the right people, typically those people will rise up to your example. And last but not least, if you are constantly pouring into those people will 100% rise to the occasion based on the information that you provide them. Will they do all of it? No. Will they get better? Guaranteed. And so the more that you do that, and with more frequency comes better and faster results, the more that you pour in to those people, the more the results will pour out of them, the more success will be created, and the more great salespeople you will end up with on your team. It's simple, guys. It's easier than people make it out to be. Doesn't mean that it's easy to juggle it all. It means that it's very simple to get it right. Just takes time, commitment, discipline, hard work, the same things that we're looking for in the people that we're looking to recruit into sales position. And Bill, I couldn't agree more, man. It's one of the things that we are most committed to is, not only training people to do their jobs better, but developing the entire person, helping make an impact on them so that their lives are actually better. And by the way, when you look at great salespeople, they almost all have what we're talking about. They have great balance. They have great vision. They have great motivation of where they're going, and they have huge goals. Think about that. Think about what that means in your company, in your environment, or maybe you're training somebody for your company. These impacts are real, guys. These impacts make a huge difference in people's lives. When you are able to develop somebody into a great salesperson, and I am, I'm blessed to be able to look back and say that I've interacted with and worked with some of the greatest salespeople, man, that I've ever met. People with all of these things, servant heart, hardworking, competitive people. And, when you do that and you push those people out into the world, man, great things happen. So I want you guys to think about that today. Think about what it takes to develop great salespeople. And that could be, it could be your kids and your own family, right? Are you doing these things? It's how you develop great people too. Slightly different approach, but pretty similar, right? If you think about it. So I hope this message was impactful. I hope it was helpful for some folks. And I look forward to continuing our conversation on sales tomorrow morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.